But when there are people walking the halls of Congress with weapons, who refuse to go through metal detectors, who refuse to even let anyone know they're carrying, and then they laugh because others are threatened by this. And there was this saying that went around the States, well, the only thing that's going to get rid of the bad guys with the guns is the good guys with the guns. Let me tell you, this happened in one of the Midwestern states this a couple years ago now. I was at a swimming pool. And here what it was is a bunch of mothers with their children in the summer, little children. And this man walked in with a gun. And he marched around the swimming pool, and mothers started very quietly trying to get their children out of the pool, and started trying to very carefully and not make much commotion to walk to where they could get out. Some got out, some kind of froze up against the big fence that was around the swimming pool. And eventually this man was apprehended, and he said, well, I came there to protect them. I thought there might be a mass shooting there today. But you see, here's the thing. He considered himself a good guy with a gun, but absolutely nobody else in that pool knew that he wasn't a mass shooter. How is the person watching someone coming up with a gun to know? Even if the person says, I'm here to protect you, how does anyone know? You are in a very strange time where many people are somewhat divorced from logic. When the emotions run very, very high, logic is lost, isn't it? And so show up for this transition into this Aquarian age as you have shown up for nothing before. As I look out at all of you in the way that I do, I can't see you in the same way. I mean, using Kathleen's eyes, I can't see you. I have to use another way. So many of you are troubled. Many of you are having sort of the pandemic effects that come to you, like wondering what happened to your memory, wondering what happened to your focus, wondering what happened to the way that you used to make decisions so rapidly, so quickly, the way you were able to just distill what you needed from a situation and go on. All of that it's as if you're taking drugs that sort of repress the central nervous system in a way. And that's an effect of this pandemic where many of you felt terribly isolated. Others not so isolated because you were able to make do with Zoom, but it isn't the same. It isn't the same. And so what I see, yes, there's been all kinds of discussion about how many people are depressed, how many people may be suicidal. And they really sound embarrassed to say, well, it's because of the pandemic, because I haven't been able to get out of my house. That's part of it. But it is an onslaught to the psyche, not to feel free. And if anything, it should be taking you to great compassion for people around the world who feel this all the time, who do not feel free. And it is just that very thing. That is why some people won't wear face masks, even in public places, because they think it's an affront to their freedom. It is not an affront to their freedom. That's just going on in the mind. It is something you do because you love humanity. It is something you do because you want to lift humanity up rather than hold them down by spreading a disease. Now, I know there are all kinds of conspiracy theories around this disease as well. You can indulge them if you really want to, if that's where you want your mind to be. But you have to ask yourself, am I lifting anybody up by that? Am I helping my own enlightenment process? And the answer, of course, is no. When you're engaged in superstition, or suspicion, let me say, superstition maybe, but certainly suspicion, when you can't trust anybody, when you're sure there's a nefarious plan behind everything, the vaccinations. Oh, there are people who believe that somebody's going to control the world through these vaccines. You have to have compassion for them. They're scared. That's a fear projection. And so you are called to experience compassion, perhaps at a level you've never been called before. And it must extend outside the group of people that you're sequestered with. It must extend to the whole world. And then you see that's difficult because people then are working much more with the notion of compassion than really holding compassion.
Oh.
And so you are being called. You are being called to rise, maybe to a height you have never even dreamed of previously. You're being called to take your enlightenment seriously.